Hey folks, it's Ron with On Fire Concerts. This is our March artist interview, and today we are with a country music legend and icon, a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame along with the Oak Ridge Boys, and the coolest man on the planet, I've been told, and I agree, Mr. William Lee Golden. Thank you, William, for being with us today.
Ron, it's a pleasure to be here with you today.
We have had a lot of people at our concerts that we do. We deal a lot with the older artists and some of the older music. And people ask us questions about, you'd be surprised at some of the people they ask about. So I want to fill in the people a little bit on the Oaks history, just real briefly. Like the Oaks started as the Oak Ridge Quartet, I believe, back in the 40s.
Right.
Wally Fowler, was that
Right.
correct? And then it went to Smitty
Smitty Gatlin.
And after that, you come in.
Smitty was singing lead when I joined the group,
Okay.
singing baritone, and so he sang for about a year and a half after I joined the group, and then he had an opportunity to go to a church in Fort Worth, Texas, First Baptist Church in Fort Worth, and be a minister of music there.
Okay.
And so he wanted to go there and take a couple of other singers with him and have a trio within the church too. But so he left, and Dwayne Allen then, we called Dwayne to come join the group.
Okay, and so I believe you joined in '65.
I joined the first of '65.
That's what I was thinking. Dwayne came in '67.
'66 in the summer of
'66.
Yeah.
Okay. The group since then, with you and Dwayne, Richard, and Joe, have pretty much been the Oak Ridge Boys since then.
right.
And very much what you hear on the record, when you go to a concert, you actually see
Same people.
same people singing, not a rotation, so to speak.
And that's a rarity in the music business.
Oh, it's amazing, yeah.
For guys to stay together, you know, keep a team together that long, because, you know, sometimes the music business can spawn egos, and that egos get to button heads, you know. You gotta have an ego to be able to stand up in front of people. And sometimes being bashful, you can be in front of people, and you can expose your alter ego, so to speak. But I've always been shy and bashful growing up, and it was like on stage where you're able to sing and to express your heart and your feeling through songs.
People will tell me that I don't get out, and I don't get out and associate a lot with a lot of people because I work all the time, but I tell them I'm not a crowds person. But they say, but you promote concerts, you know, where you have crowds.
Yeah.
That's a different element. I mean, that's, you know, it's fun, and it's something you enjoy doing and you love doing, and it's just I love with the older music, like I said. And back when the Oaks, when y'all all started doing, not necessarily getting away from religion or gospel, but because I know you still incorporate gospel into your shows today, but when you went country, pretty much, what was that changeover like? Was it hard to do?
Well, I have always myself bought tickets to go to other entertainment in town. When I would be home from the road, concerts would be in town at the Civic Center, the auditoriums, arenas. I'd go buy tickets and go see them. And you go see all these great entertainers coming through here, and getting to meet and know people like Johnny Cash and Jim Cash. You know, Johnny's a rugged guy, but he's also he was always a very humble and a spiritual man, you know. He had a deep faith inside, and I think sometimes maybe the wilder we are in our youth, sometimes it gives us more true belief when we see the miracles that God can work in our own lives, you know what I mean? You really, it gives you a deeper spiritual perspective of life.
I have a personal story that we won't go into today, but that back when you're younger, and it's always, with me anyway, it was always me. I can do this, I can do that, and then God lets you see that without me, there's not a lot you can do. You know,
can't do much at all.
And I realized that.
You can make a mess out of things by yourself.
In a hurry, you think, well, you know, you can get through anything, but some things you don't get through without the man upstairs leading you. And I had a pastor tell me that it was involving a son I lost, and it said that, you know, you didn't get through this. You may have thought you were doing it by yourself at the time, but you couldn't, because until when you get done and the smoke clears, you couldn't have done it by yourself. The man upstairs was there, and he's always with us. And then I think I've had people ask me over the years about gospel and country music, can they mix? And without naming a name, I have a dear friend that's a great gospel singer, but I always had a concern, could I do that? Because I wanted to put him on opening for some different acts, and just, you know, can you mix gospel with country? And my question's always been, or my thought's always been, as far as two different acts go, can I mix the gospel act with country act? If they blend together, you can.
Yeah.
I think, but I just didn't know how when the Oak Ridge Boys went from mainly gospel to crossing over to country.
It was, that's what we kind of refer to as the gray area in our musical career, of when we loved and wanted to sing gospel music. And I come to a realization in my own mind first that, hey, here we are struggling, we're wanting to make good music, and we're being rejected within the confines of the industry, the gospel music industry as such. And you know what, I got to analyzing who we are as people and what business we're in, singing gospel songs. We're singing we've chosen a business that people want to listen to one day a week, and that's on Sunday. The other 6 days of the week, everybody's living their life in the real world.
Right.
And then they've come back to church on Sunday. Well, they think of us as a Sunday school singers,
right.
You know, church singers, so to speak, as long as they're singing gospel music. But then we were working on shows with country music people too, singing gospel songs, but we would be opening like festival type things where you're on in the afternoon and the country music that night.
Right.
We were doing that as a gospel group. I was thinking, we have as talented of 4 guys singing as we can get together. We have the potential to make music that will be played on radio 7 days a week, that will touch people where we all live today in today's world, talking about songs that about a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday songs, as well as a Sunday song.
Right.
And so we've always kind of incorporated a gospel song on every country album we ever cut. We felt like that we paid homage to our, where we come from,
Right.
of doing a gospel song that had gospel leaning, spiritual overtones or messages, and we did that on like every gospel album that we did and CD that we did. I mean, every country CD we would add a gospel song, and we just cut one of the most groundbreaking albums for us, and I feel like for gospel music too, is this 17th Avenue Revival. I don't know if you've heard that.
I have.
But it's Dave Cobb, who's the hottest producer in Nashville in country. He produces Chris Stapleton, Randy Carlisle, Zach Brown Band. He produces some of the hottest players, best records out of Nashville.
Right.
But he produced this thing for us and took us back to where our childhood roots were, what was happening in gospel music when we were kids. And with that attitude of where rock and roll began, really, of where your what did all the guys that started rock and roll have in common? Ray Charles, Little Richard, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, they all come out of singing gospel music.
That's
they all
true.
come out
That's
of
true.
singing church.
That is true.
Evolved into their talent, led them into people wanting them to cut songs that were not gospel.
Right. And it's amazing because I know from y'all were together after you went doing country, that was like the late 60s, early 70s. Your first, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe the first big song, country, that went everywhere was Elvira. Is that?
The first big country song we had was in 1977. It was a Y'all Come Back Saloon.
Y'all Come Back. Okay, that's great. Okay.
Then the next song we released was You're the One in a Million. Y'all Come Back Saloon went to number 2. We're a gospel group coming into country music with the Y'all Come Back Saloon. And the people that kept us away from number 1 was the Kendalls with Heaven's Just a Cent Away.
I think that one stayed at the top forever, didn't it?
It did for about 6 weeks, and we're sitting there at number 2.
Right below it.
Yeah.
When did Elvira come out? In 81?
81. So we had about 6 or 7 we had a run of good country songs under our belt before Elvira hit.
Right, but the Y'all Come Back Saloon is still played. You can hear it. I mean, people still playing it today on everything.
They do. It's just a classic song.
Which is a rarity that I mean, after Elvira, you had what I believe it would have been Fancy.
Fancy Free was the next song. It was the title of that album that Elvira was on. Then after that was Bobby Sue,
right.
and
then
then we did a Christmas album that year in '82 also, and that's where Thank God for Kids
right.
was on.
That is an amazing song too, by the way. That is at Christmas time or any time.
Yeah.
That song is simply amazing. And did you write that song?
Eddie Raven wrote that song.
Okay.
He wrote it about 7 years before we had recorded. He had it on an album, and they never released it as a single. But then he's the one that pitched it to us and said, I've had this song for a while, but he said, I think it's a great song, would fit this Christmas album. Said it's not really Christmas, but it had the word Santa Claus in it.
Right, and they could not have, or Eddie could not have pitched that to anyone any better than the Oaks doing that, because to me that was an amazing song. And to look at what y'all are doing, all your careers basically, 40 plus years together, you're still feeling, I look at your schedule, and I mean, just scheduling this with you, I know that your schedule is amazing,
Yeah, we still do like 155 concert dates a year on the road. Then we add a few Grand Ole Opry shots to that, plus a few travel days to that. So,
you don't get you're not home a whole lot to
we're
sell that.
hauling dirty clothes a lot.
I know, and then on top of everything the Oak Ridge Boys are doing, I've learned in the last couple of years, I noticed, but you've been doing it a lot longer, but I started following a couple of years ago on some of your paintings and your pictures, and you're having art gallery showings and
Yeah.
with all your paintings. When did that start? I mean, what got your interest into painting?
I've always loved art. Being on the road, whether it's in this country or other countries, a lot of your major cities have real nice art museums. And some of them have showings that are going, traveling shows of art shows. So I've been going to art museums, admiring art for a long time. I've got personal friends that are professional artists. I'd always wanted to try to paint, but didn't quite know how to start. So when my youngest son Solomon was a baby, I got a Christmas gift from him, and it was some painting supplies and things, and it was some pictures that I had been taken, with a box with all this stuff, and so it was presented to me, and as a father, it kind of made me want
to try.
And so on the road, I got to carrying all this stuff with me, and I got to buying better equipment, and more paints, and more easels, and lights to even carry on the road with me to work with. And I would lug it into my hotel room every day, sit up by a window, spend the day there painting from some of my photographs, using that as reference, and spend the day painting. And I'm a real slow painter, and it takes me 3 or 4 months, sometimes 5 or 6 months to complete a big, nice painting.
Well, that helps you pass your time on the road, though.
It does, and the day flies when you're sitting there painting.
And I know if I have something to occupy my time, it keeps me out of trouble.
It almost keeps me out of trouble.
Almost keeps you out of trouble. Well, man, like I said, I know you're getting ready to head back out tonight, actually.
Yeah.
I believe that this tour with the Oaks, is it the Shine the Light tour? Is that this tour?
Let's Shine the Light, yeah.
And I know I looked at the schedule, and I don't think y'all slow down any. And but I can see where painting would help you relax on the road when you have time to do it.
Yeah.
And you and I spoke earlier. You showed me a couple of paintings, which if you don't, we'll be posting those pictures of some paintings. But there's one that I was telling you about that was just, I thought was amazing that I had actually seen of, you have a painting hanging in the George H.W. Bush Library, is that correct?
Yeah.
Of Barbara Bush's...
Her flower garden.
That you did while you were there?
It was hung there for about 7 years, and so they actually returned the original before he passed away.
Oh, okay.
And because, it was kind of, they didn't want something to happen to it. It was kind of...
Well, you and the Oaks in general were good friends with the Bushes.
We were friends of them since 1983.
Okay.
And we became close friends with them. They would invite us every year up to Kennebunkport with our wives to spend like 3 days, 3 or 4 days. We'd normally stay about 3 days, and to hang there at their home with them. Mm-hmm. And he'd take us out on the boat, go to lunch on the boat, there's 2 or 3 places he would always take us up there. But just to go at the end of summer, and they would like for us to come there before they head back to Houston for the winter.
Right. That would be, I'm sure, a beautiful place. I've, of course, never been there, but I've seen pictures and things. But the paintings that you do and that you have prints of that's available for people, they can get that at williamleegolden.com.
Yeah, you can see my work there in my website.
And anything about any events that you have coming up, art showings or anything like that.
Right.
I know you did one in Hendersoville a few
I've
months
done a couple of different shows here. I did one of my paintings, a big showing of my paintings. I also had a showing at the Tennessee State Museum
Okay.
of all of my paintings. And I had one, the last showing I had was at Pensacola, at the Pensacola Art Museum.
Okay.
And it was there for about 4 months.
Okay.
Then I had a showing of my photography at the Pensacola Airport for about 6 months.
Okay. Well, you know, we have been blessed today that you allowed us to come into your home to do this interview with you. We've looked around outside. Then one final thing, just so anybody that we were there again, we'll be sharing pictures. So there is a wall out front of your house.
Yeah,
That you were telling me has been there for over 200 years.
yeah.
Can you give a little history?
Well, all I know is that our home here was built in 1786. It was an old slave wall. It was built by the slaves back then. And this was built by a Revolutionary War colonel. And in 1786, but he fought with George Washington. It was one of the immortal 70 that fought in the Revolutionary War that actually won the war.
Okay.
And he was provided a section of land here, which was 640 acres, that he built his home on. This was originally called a Station Camp Outpost.
Okay.
And that's Station Camp Creek. But the Revolutionary War, it was an outpost of the troops that would come here to make sure that the settlement was settled.
Okay. And now y'all renamed this Golden Era Plantation, is it?
Yeah, while I'm here, I've been here since 1980.
Well, this is I'm gonna just tell you, this is a beautiful, beautiful place, and to me, it's amazing. You know.
The original plantation home was Pilot Knob, I believe, was the original name of this plantation.
What?
But you can look up Isaac Franklin you can Google Isaac Franklin, and his father was Colonel James Franklin, Revolutionary War. They were Huguenots from France that came to this country.
Okay.
But you look at their history, the people that built this, and so I've read some of the history of the people that built it, and it's really fascinating.
Well, I just find the area where you're at and your landscaping around here and the house itself it's just so beautiful. And we thank you for letting us come in and be able
Well,
to
you're
come in.
always welcome. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people out there that have been buying tickets and records.
Well, we have been working, doing these things, and we're building our brand up, of course, and it's people like you that will, that works with us, that helps us, and then I just think that it's an amazing career that you personally have had, as well as with the Oak Ridge Boys for, 45, 50 years total, I guess now, 77 on or something like that?
Well, I
67, I mean.
65 to,
Now?
they kicked me out for about 6 or 7 years, and anyhow, I was kind of wild and rowdy, and
We've been there and done that,
had more than my share of fun, but I still do, and
Well,
people want to hear the guys that had to hit records together.
it's amazing.
And that's what they want to hear. And when guys break up or split up and go, it's never the same, and you see them go down. But
Well, like you
we're
said,
fortunate. We've seen, since I've been back with the Oaks it's been amazing at the crowds that we see, and even right now. We worked with Alabama one night this past week up in Salem, Virginia, a big arena there. It was packed to the rafters, and it was, you got 18 or 20,000 people there carrying on.
Well, I've learned just from the little shows that we do with the older artists in general, our folks, we're getting people now coming from out of state to these things because they're learning what we're doing, and I think the country music, the people that established country music, and I consider the Oaks to be a part of that, and yourself and Alabama, but I seen where George Strait drew 80,000 people recently at the rodeo.
Right, this week.
And I thought, now that's country, they can't say country music is...
He broke his own record there at Houston.
I had seen that, and I thought, who says country music is going away? It's not going nowhere. But
it's bigger than it's ever been right now.
I think it's on the traditional country. I think it's coming back.
It is.
And it's, I guess for the older folks, I'll say like me, I'm 58, but for the older folks that
You're still a young guy.
Yeah, but you got to learn something. Sooner or later we learn as we get older, like as you talk about in our wilder days, you learn as you get older. There's got to be change, and change is not always
Well, you don't know unless some things in life you don't know unless you get out there and see it and experience it.
That is true. And
you don't know what diving off the end of a diving board's like until you jump.
Until you hit the water and know.
Yeah.
But,
so it's according to how you jump, how you hit.
That's true. And but we appreciate again so much for you taking your time to do this for us today, and for letting the guys doing our video, Jerry Overcast, come in with me and do this, and welcoming us into your home and so forth. And it's something that I'll long remember forever. So, but we want to thank our fans for watching this video, and if you got any questions or comments, just let us know.
Yeah. Well, I follow what you're doing there, Ron.
And I appreciate that. You don't...
Because I'm a promoter too, I kind of grew up promoting every once in a while.
I learned something from you, and I'm going to say this, I learned something from you. Back, and you'll know what I'm trying to say if I don't say it correctly. Back when, from like 87 to 90 something, you did a big show somewhere, I forgot, in Alabama, I believe it was.
The Harvest Jam.
And you were saying how you promoted that show was you went out to every radio station, you made a tour and stopped at every little radio station.
Yeah.
That's what makes promoting fun to me.
It is. You gotta, promoting, you gotta get out there and what they call shake the bushes. You gotta go to the radio stations, you gotta go to the newspapers, you gotta be on the talk shows of TV or whatever radio, your local PSA spots where the action is, and you gotta buy some spots.
Right.
You gotta buy, there's the old saying, buy spots where the people are watching that you want.
Right.
That age group
that
you're pitching to, it's the demographics you're choosing to pitch to.
What?
You buy your spots and hit them, and if you got it, if you're doing it on regular music shows, I don't know how many, there's RFD TV and a few of those cable new music shows now, but when you buy ads on those, as the old saying, it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. You got them, they're all there.
I've learned in the last couple of years that with the shows we do, we work a couple of smaller venues on a regular basis. And, we've been very blessed that over the last couple of years, we've built what I call a built-in audience. You get your regulars coming to everything, which is great. And then you know, we do newspaper, radio interviews. We work with some great newspapers that do interviews and put them on the front page.
Put them posters up, you do posters.
You do posters, and then, of course, now, unlike when you first started in the business, you've got Facebook, you've got
all this social media
that you can target your areas with. But man, I just wanted to let you know, I follow the older. I'm always open to learning something, and I read that a few years ago. I said, you know, like I tell people, it don't matter how good of an artist you have putting on a show. You could have Elvis there tomorrow, but if you don't advertise it,
if people don't know he's going to be there, there won't be nobody.
You're not going to have nobody, you know.
And I've seen too many promoters that they book a date, they get all excited and tell their friends,
and
but no one knows it other than them and their friends, and they're going to all want to be in free anyway. So it's like you go there and it's a disaster.
They sort of expect, they think you know, but like I said, without advertising, it's like I tell the young artists today, and I don't sing and I don't play instruments, but I love the music, and I like to think I know a little bit about the music, the history of music that we do. And people say, well, how did I make it? You're not going to make it if you're not heard. And you have to get where you can be heard first, and then you're not going to come in and be overnight success. There's no such thing. I think a lot of the people I hear these days that I say overnight success, I'm thinking they've been around 20 years. How's that overnight, you know?
We was a 12, from time I joined the group, we was a 12-year overnight success.
And that's just
so that was from 65 to 77 where we had the Y'all Come Back Saloon.
Right. And people think, well, they just getting started, and you've been around for you know, a long time. But we're going to shut down now. And again, William, man, thank you so very much for having us in your home and doing this and taking time. Y'all, we'll keep you updated on our April interview and the near future. So thank y'all for following us and checking in on it. Go to our website, www.onfireconcerts.com, for all the news on our upcoming shows. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. And we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.